number 13 of
Moms
With nothing
to talk about.
Yay!
So we're going to pick back up on where we left off for episode number 12, cliffhanger.
Ooh.
Maybe we should do that for everything.
Maybe we should.
Yeah.
We did it on them.
You have to come back next time if you want to hear us
exactly.
talk about bougie Brie eating thighs.
How does that make me bougie? We don't know. It just does.
I feel like human meat would be more expensive than bear meat.
You know it
That's
is.
true. You know, celebrities probably do it.
See? I'm
You
just
know
saying.
they do because they have more money than sense. That's a whole nother
That's
conversation.
Then sense or sin? What'd you say?
Sense, like
Sense, okay.
like SENSE. Is that how you spell it? Anyway,
Like common sense.
yeah.
Okay. So we're gonna finish. We're gonna continue talking about honesty with your children, and
Yeah.
we're not honesty in general. How you address certain things with your kids,
Yeah.
because everyone handles things differently,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and everyone's
exactly.
moms handle things differently. So I feel like this. But you were talking about Jace,
Yeah.
and how you're just a very open book about anything
Yeah,
sexual with
my-
him.
and drugs.
Not sexual
I mean,
with him, but-
you know what I mean? Like, because my mom was not like.
Yeah.
She just wasn't. And so it's one of those things that not that I was confused on things, but
You didn't know.
I didn't have anyone to talk to about it. It was very much a disgusting thing.
Yeah.
And you weren't supposed to do it. It was
It
taboo.
is disgusting. Ew, gross. Boys are gross.
Boys are gross. But, but I just feel like him being like, being comfortable with having someone to ask questions to, or knowing that things are normal or not normal. Like, and also to me, which this may be a weird thing, but it's like, if you're going to be with someone, you need to understand that they deserve time and respect to, you know, accomplish their goal as well as you accomplishing your goal.
Right.
Like, there just needs to be more emphasis on this is a joint project.
Yeah.
And it needs to be safe as well. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, there's just so many things that I think will make him, A, a better partner, and B, just more educated and not feeling like it's a dirty, nasty thing.
Right.
But in general, I think it makes him, not necessarily talking about sex, but just in
Right.
anything, it
Yeah.
makes him a better human being because
Yeah.
he's understanding how maybe you process something,
Right.
he processes something one
Right.
way, but his friends or his
Yes.
partners or his
Yes.
parents or
Right.
whoever process it totally different.
Yes.
And that's how... What makes my mom always tells me that's what make the world go.
Yeah.
That's what makes the world go
Yeah,
round. Because if
it
we were
is.
all the same, it'd be so boring.
Exactly.
If
Exactly.
we all thought the same way, like,
Yeah.
could you imagine if we all had the same sex life?
No.
Boring.
Right.
Well, I don't think about anybody else's sex life.
I'm just saying, like, or if you think about how Michaela parents versus how I parent versus
Yeah.
I
Right.
parent, that's three different
Yeah,
parenting
right.
styles that
Yeah.
we all have.
and it's kind of the same, yeah.
But we can still be friends.
Yeah.
We can still, I
Yeah.
might think, what the hell are they talking about?
Yeah.
But I can still let you, I mean,
You
as
do
long as
you.
you're not being
Exactly.
a bad
Yep.
person.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
You can make things
Right.
different. Like,
Yeah.
because my girls, they have a cousin that's 5 months older than Bradley, and he's parented totally different
Yeah.
than my girls are.
Yeah.
Right.
And so, like, when we're all together, they look at me and I'm like, but that's what makes you
Yes.
you.
Yep.
It's- And that's what makes him him.
Exactly.
Because of how his parents
Yep.
parent him
Yeah.
and how I parent you.
Yeah.
You guys are not the same.
Exactly. And all of that is going, that their experiences and how they're raised is going to take them into adulthood and make, it's not going to completely make them who they are, but it will help shape them into
sure.
the adult they're going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's like, we also talked to him about drugs. Because I'm like, you're going to drink and you're probably going to do drugs.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but here's what I'm going to tell you. I'm like, you're going to drink. And I said, if you're going to choose to do a drug, I would stick with pot.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just saying.
Well,
like,
give you my
but-
advice.
And that it's a good thing that you say that because
Right.
my mom was the exact same way. So
Right.
I knew if I was at home and if I was
Yes.
16 and wanted to drink or smoke, I was safe in my own home to do so.
now, I'm not going to allow it. Like, here's the
Right,
thing.
right.
But you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying that I'm going to be like, here's the
Yeah,
alcohol
right.
and weed.
Right.
But I
You
just,
know it's
I want
gonna
him to
happen.
know it's like, because there's cocaine, meth.
Right.
Because I told him, I said, there are certain things that you can try and you can get hooked very
Yes,
quickly.
yeah.
And I had
It's
an
a
uncle.
commitment.
I had an uncle that got addicted to meth, and watching a man that I
The
considered
downfall.
my father
Yeah.
figure become a monster.
Yep.
So I've told him about that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I've told him about not completely everything, but it's like certain things that you our video just went, certain things that you do, can really affect your life. Whereas some things, if you do it in moderation, you know what I mean? Like, it's not going to have those, as long as you're smart and you're safe and you're not driving and all that shit.
And it also makes sense because he'll feel comfortable to talk to you. Like, and I think that once, personally for me, I think once your parents open that door, why try it? Because your parents have opened the door. It's like, you're like, my parents are cool. Like, it's not as risky as
exactly.
parents
Exactly, yeah.
Because, like, my mom was like, I know you're going to, when I was in high school, like, no drinking. That was not allowed. Like, the fear of God. I went to a party one time and someone was like, just try it. And I was like, my mom will murder me.
Yeah.
But then once I graduated, she's like, I know you're going to college.
Yeah.
I joined a sorority. She's like, I know these are going to be out here. My one request is you don't drive.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't drive. Call me if you need me. Which I never did because I was too embarrassed and too stupid.
Right.
But, like, the door was open. Yes. And so I think that having that, I think that even though she did open the door, I was still a little bit terrified of what she might do if she found out. Right. But it was...
and that's a healthy fear. That's not a bad thing either,
So it's like one of those things that's like, I think it's better to be open and honest with your kids about anything.
Yeah.
Like my mom, I think, was it her or was it one of her cousins? Someone was sheltered from death. Like, their whole life. They never went to a funeral. They never did anything. So then when they were, like, 15 and they had to attend their first one, it was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Yes. This is... Mm-hmm. So my girls, like, they just attended my dad's funeral, and, like, they were in there in the viewing. They did it all with me because I didn't want them to have a fear. Yeah. And, I mean, partly for the closure, partly for the knowledge. Like, when you're that little, also, it's hard to...
process something.
Yeah, exactly. Put the pieces together, so I wanted them to physically... because I'm a visual person. Yeah. So, but, like, I couldn't imagine my first funeral being, like, 16.
That was, that was how mine was.
Yeah. And who was it?
A kid that committed suicide at school.
Even worse. Okay.
Yeah. And my mom didn't I just made the decision that I needed to go.
Right.
And, because I've always been terrified of death. And I still am. And so, that, I had nightmares of that child for weeks after I went to that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But I felt like I needed to go because he had been made fun of, like, severely. And I never did anything to... you know what I mean? Like, even at that young of an age, I did feel guilty. Yeah. And so I went, and Trigger I probably warning. Shouldn't have.
What'd you say?
Trigger warning.
Oh, sorry, yeah. But anyway...
But that's
I'm trying to be politically correct.
Yes, that's good, because you don't...
But it's... I think with everything, like... In the last episode, we talked about my friend and the cow dying at the farm. And, like, had it been here, she would have sheltered him from. But I'm like, we all got to learn the circle of life. We all have to learn actions have consequences. We have to learn. Yeah. And if you can help teach before the action happens, then maybe the consequences won't be as detrimental to someone. Because I can't imagine... My mom was a very open book.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, my brother and I knew anything and everything you want to know about anything.
Yeah, same.
To the point that we were at Applebee's one time, my mom was having a conversation with us, and I'll never forget the lady behind us in the booth stood up and looked and was like, what the fuck? But my mom was an open book.
Right.
I mean, like,
and
we were like 10 and 15. Yep. So, like, for this lady, it was very
weird. Woo. Yeah.
Because I remember in 6th grade, I got in trouble because I was hanging out with some girls that were making fun of another girl. This is how stupid 6th grade is. I dread 6th grade. I dread it.
6th grade was my peak. My prime.
I got in trouble because these girls on the playground were saying, and since my girls are outside the door, I'm not going to say the full word, were saying another girl was doing BJ's to a boy. Uh-huh. And I was not saying it, but I was in the circle.
Yeah. Yep.
So then I got in trouble. The teacher called us all out in front of the class.
Right. Yep.
We're very mortified.
Yeah.
Then I came home and the teacher and my mom had a relationship that my mom, was like on speed dial.
Yeah.
Quick little email and boom, my mom knows. So I came home and I was like, do you know what a BJ is? I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. And she's like, do you know what it is? And I'm like, I don't know what's happening right now. And she's like, we're going to talk about it. Yep. And I was like, oh my God, I'm finding out what a BJ is right now.
Exactly.
Talk about it.
Yep.
So then I found out about it. And then when do you remember those skater bands?
Yep.
That you could turn around and make a 69? Uh-huh. I didn't know what a 69 was. I didn't even understand. And my mom was like, what's that? And that's what we're talking about Applebee's when the lady was turning around. Because I was like, you want to know what this is? We're going to talk about it. And I was like,
I didn't ask.
no, thank you. But that's how I am with my girls. Because, like, they know where babies come from.
Yep.
I mean, they're going to learn eventually.
So I would rather them learn from me.
You than someone else.
Me that's actually had a baby.
Right.
Exactly. And some kid on the playground.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, and so then, like, one day at dinner, Bradley's classmate was like, to her mom, who was sitting at the table, does God pick the gender of the baby? And I was like, well, and the mom's like, yes, he does.
Oh.
And I was like, but she's like, he does. I'm like,
but does he?
We'll talk about this later, Bradley, because
he does not.
He does not.
but that's where I always wait.
And I wasn't gonna go to like the
the
little warriors fight, and then the top warrior wins, and you have a boy.
You were just gonna say dad's genetics.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna make it very G-rated.
But that's the whole thing. Is because also they talked about. I watched a thing where whenever your kids are little, use the correct terms. Because if they are sexually assaulted, if somebody asks them, they're not going to say my exactly. Right. They know the words.
Yep.
And that stuck with me because I was like, I would rather him know the terms. But that's why you talking about that mom. Whatever they're laughing about, I usually just kind of joke with them. But I always wait until his friends are gone because
he has
a friend that his parents, I can tell, are very and so I'm like, I'm not going to be the one to teach him anything. Right. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just not.
Yeah.
So, but I wait till his friends are gone and then we have conversations. Yeah. And he doesn't always like them. It always makes...
they're awkward.
But see,
I also would rather my mom have told me than what some girl that had no idea what she's even talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean is I think it's important that you're open and honest because then... And like you said, when you're 18 and you're drunk, do you want to call your mom to come pick you up? No, I know you don't, but at least like if it hasn't been made into this big taboo, huge deal, I would have been terrified to call Helen. I wasn't drinking at 18 because she scared the hell out of me, but I would never have called her.
Yeah.
Ever. Whereas I want Jace to be like, well,
better call my mom.
But like I always tell Jace, I'm like, I want you to call me. I said, there may be consequences later. Yep. I said, but if you call me, I said, that night I will come and get you. Nothing will be said.
Yep.
I just want you safe. Mm-hmm. I'm like, now that doesn't mean we're not going to have conversations about it later.
Yep.
But just know that I will not ask questions. I will pick you up. There will be nothing like that.
I mean, I got arrested and my mom immediately had, she came and got me and, she was just like, I'm just glad you're safe.
Exactly.
Yep. So it's important for you to have that open communication and trust between you two.
Yep.
So okay, I do have a safe space.
Yeah, exactly.
Because if you don't have a safe space, it makes your life hell.
Right.
If you are always terrified of your parents,
yep.
If you're always terrified of failing them,
yep.
Or feeling like you're not good enough,
yep.
Or whatever, and you can't even ask a simple question,
exactly.
Then it's
exactly.
I mean, for a kid, I feel like that would be.
And I feel like, and I'm not talking bad about my mother's parents. My mother loves me.
And she
did the best she can.
She did, exactly. And I know how she was raised. So, I mean, you know what I mean? But it was one of those things, and a lot of it could be my own internal, but I have never felt good enough. I have never felt like I met expectations. Like
and you're trying to break those generations.
Exactly. And like I said, I'm not saying that I don't. I'm not putting that on her. This was just how I felt. And so I don't want Jace... And that doesn't mean he won't feel that way.
Yeah.
Because every kid's going to feel some kind of failure to their parents.
But I mean, you're just, you can't guess how they're going to take, kind of like what you had said in the last one. They're going to take it how they want to take it.
Yep.
So just because you said it doesn't mean that they're not going to take it a different way. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like the other day we had to talk because I know we're getting close to the time where he's going to be taking very long showers multiple times a day.
Yeah.
And he just is.
That sounds like hell. I hate taking a shower. Multiple showers a day.
Come on. Is this child has taken 30 to 45 minute baths and showers since he was little.
Yeah.
The child loves bath. Yeah, loves bath time. But I'm like, so there was one day that he was doing something and he had locked his bedroom door, which is not, you don't lock your bedroom door in our house at this point. Just because.
Yeah.
And so I was like, why is this door locked? And he's like, oh, I'm coming, hold on. And I was like, okay. And I can't remember what he was doing, but it was something that he probably shouldn't have been doing. He was mixing colors or, something like that.
Right.
But my first thought was, Okay, it's happening.
Yeah.
And so I made him sit down on the Big Joe, and we talked about,
Did you get a new Big Joe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Is that a recliner?
No, it's like a big, giant beanbag.
Oh, I told you I want to bring one of those in here.
Dude, it's like the size of this room.
Yeah, they're huge. Now this one's a little smaller.
Okay.
But still, it's gonna take up that whole corner.
It's huge.
Just is.
We would have to all share it.
No, I'd be chilling in my
I'd be chilling myself.
And Michaela and I'll be in the living room.
Exactly.
We're both tucked into corners.
I'm on the phone with you guys.
No break. No Big Joe in here for you.
It's my Colt.
It's my Colt. But yeah, I was just like, buddy, it's
And how did he respond?
Yeah.
Well, he was embarrassed. Like, he was
because
embarrassed.
you're going to have this talk someday.
Yeah. And I mean, did he love it? Kind of like whenever you were like, I don't want to talk about it. Like, that's your kid's response. And I'm like, because he doesn't like to talk about things, and he'll try to divert. And so I just have to be like, you don't have to say anything. I'm going to say what I'm going to say. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to look me in the eye. We're just going to talk about it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
I think that's so
But that's what we just sit next to each other, and I'm like, at some point, I'm like, you are going to really enjoy yourself, sir. Yeah. And I'm like, when that starts happening, I'm like, then you can lock the door. Yeah. And I said, and don't worry, Mom will always make her footsteps known, and I will always jiggle the handle before I open the door. Yeah. And I'm like, I said, but I would much prefer you to do it in the shower because it's easier to clean up. That's what I told him.
Do you think him and his dad have a relationship that they could have those conversations?
I don't know.
Do you think that your son and his dad have that relationship that they'll be able to have those conversations? Yeah. Since I'm a girl mom, I feel like Taylor kind of gets a pass on some things because he doesn't. I don't want him having those conversations because he's a man trying to talk about women's stuff. Right. But like, do you feel like you guys would have?
Yeah, I've mentioned it before, and I'm like, I think I should do it because I'm very open about stuff like that anyway. Mm-hmm. As to where Colin is more shy, and his mom was not open with him about anything. But Colin's like, as a dad, like, that's my duty, like, to have those conversations with my son, and he doesn't want it to be awkward for Carter because it's his mom coming to him. But I'm like, I'd be completely fine having the conversation.
Who's awkward here?
Right, like, I think it's you.
Like, here's the thing. It is awkward as hell. The whole time, I'm like, I'm not looking at you. We're just talking about it. And then it was so funny because I came out and I told Kyle, I said, we had the talk. And he's like, you did? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, how do you do that with a straight face? I'm like, I don't know, but I know I got to do it, so I do it.
Because as a mom with a son, it's different.
It probably is, but it's one of those things that since I don't have, like, his dad and I get along, but since I don't have a super close, like, I'm not gonna text him and be like, hey, have you guys had the talk? Like, I could, but I don't. It's just one of those things that I'm like, his dad can talk to him too.
And yeah, exactly. Two households, so why not have two people reiterating?
Exactly. Yes, true. And here's the thing: he's gonna have 3 brothers at his dad's house. So I'm like, so you know there's gonna have.
And they're all older, right?
No, Jace is in the middle. Jace is there's an older one, Jace, and then 2 younger ones.
Oh, okay.
So I'm like, surely there's gonna be conversations in that household because his fiance is a nurse, and so I'm sure that they'll have conversations over there, and that's fine. Right. But I also just want him to know that he can be open and honest with me, too. Yeah. Since he has 2 households.
And it doesn't have to be weird.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what we do a lot of our talking in the car, so that he doesn't have to
look you in the face.
No, we just talk about it.
Yeah.
And he can't escape then either.
True.
He can't. I'm just saying.
Mom, I'm jumping out of the car.
Yeah. Because he's really good at trying to divert. And, and so it's just one of those things where we're just in the car, we're talking. And obviously, like, if he gets super uncomfortable, we just laugh, we change the subject. Yeah. But I just want him to know that these aren't weird things. We all do them, dude. Right. Every does this.
That has... Yes. Yeah, every man does it. Yeah.
So, here we go. And you're going to do it a lot when you're that age, just because you are.
Yep.
But that's what I think is good, though. Yeah. You guys are reiterating that, because I feel like boys especially, and I'm not a boy mom, so I can't speak on behalf. But they don't talk about things.
Exactly.
They don't talk about their feelings.
Exactly.
They
don't like to communicate.
Yep. So if you open that door now and set a precedence that communication is vital, you're setting your sons up for success in future relationships, whether it be friends, partners, whatever it may be. You guys are allowing your sons to feel it's okay
but
to
also,
talk. Or it's okay to be talked to and just absorb it.
Exactly.
Right.
And see, Jace is a big people pleaser just like me.
Yeah.
And so I have discussed with him, you have tendencies like me. But, whenever you have a partner, whatever partner you choose, I'm like, you need to understand that it needs to be someone, like we've discussed what you need to look for in a partner. Like, you don't just want somebody that bows to you and does everything. You don't want somebody that bosses you around. I'm like, you want a partner. You want someone that, you really enjoy spending time with. And you both, it's a two-way street.
It's a consensual thing.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just a really, it's a balance. Yeah. And it's also one of those things that I want him to know, you're going to want to have sex in high school. You're not going to marry this person.
Right.
And we haven't had this discussion yet, but I'm like, I want him to know.
You have to set the precedence for when that conversation happens.
Exactly.
You're not like,
exactly.
I want to give you all the details.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We stair-stepped to this.
Exactly. Because I want him to be a good partner. I want him to know we're not going to force people. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has choices in this situation. Right. And we're going to respect those choices. Exactly.
Yeah, for sure.
So, you're going to ask something.
What about, I don't want to say this too loud, like porn?
See, I don't have a problem with it.
But, like, have you talked to him about it?
Okay, so we haven't...
You don't want him to have, like, this
so we actually, it's fun, you actually have in a little way. So, because, when the boys start joking about it, children have internet now. So I already know that there's no way that we haven't had some... Because there were some times that whenever he was little, he was like, I was looking for something and I found a naked lady online. And I'm like, okay.
I remember being like 5 years old searching big boobs.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And my mom walked in and was like, what the fuck are you looking at? I was like, big boobs.
So free.
Well, what's the problem? I have them. I was 4 or 5 years old. I'm like, I got them.
But what?
But that's... So when I saw
we didn't have the internet when we were 5. Okay?
No, we did not. No.
But at that age, I'm like,
I don't care about big boobs.
Exactly.
But then I grew up expecting to have these perfect, giant, perky tits. And
I did make a comment to him. I said, what you see on the internet for sex, I said, is not real.
That's good.
I was just, and you don't get too far into it, but I'm like, just know that is not the actual like, that's not real how it's gonna be.
Yes.
It's just not. Right. So, I haven't touched on it a lot, but I did make that comment because he brought something up. And I'm like, because it just drives me nuts that you can just tell sometimes, it's like, that's just not real life. Right. Like, it just isn't. Right. And so, you need boys, because I think that a lot of boys, especially when the internet first started coming out, that's what they saw. And I don't feel like these kind of things...
they expected.
Exactly. I don't feel like these things were talked about as much to our generation.
Yes, for sure.
And so that's one of those things that I'm like, that is not going to happen.
Right.
I mean, it's just not.
Yeah.
So, you might want to search amateur if you want to know what it might actually be like, big guy. So...
Because I remember my teenage relationships, these guys had so many expectations, and I'm like, am I just, like, not the girl for you? Or, like... What's going on? Because we're not on the same page.
Right.
Like, I'm not bending like that.
No. Well, it's like, I've dated so many men that, like, the women don't matter. And now a couple of them I'm pretty sure were married. But whatever. And I just felt sorry for their wives because I was like, do you even know the female anatomy?
Right.
Do you even find it in the right room with a light pointing at it? Like,
exactly.
So I'm like, I just, it's a two-way street.
Yep.
And it doesn't always come across that way in porn. So that's an interesting...
Yeah.
It's a good thing to talk to him about.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ashley's like, I don't know what I'm doing in this room.
What is your take on it as a girl mom?
No, I won't. I don't want them because I feel like the flip it sets them up for men being a certain look or a certain...
Yes.
And we've talked about before, like, I
mean, I would prefer Carter, obviously, not watch it,
My type of guy would follow probably one of those those actors.
Right. Yeah.
But it's like, I don't think it's real. I would rather my girls learn the whole picture.
Yes, exactly.
Like, I know that's a huge part of your relationship, but I think that you also have to have an intimate, like a emotional connection.
Yes, for sure.
But see, none of that stuff matters because that's only going to take you so far in life.
Exactly.
And it's not going to take you very far.
No. Right. But I don't feel like many girls are interested in that.
Yeah.
Like, I was never interested in that.
See, I don't know, because my girls since they go to a private school, like, I was just talking to another mom the other day, I was like, I know they're at a private school, so is this going to be, like, a taboo that's going to, like I said, be more interest because everyone's children know?
Right. I don't know.
Are we going to am I going to be, like, how do you date at a private school?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, my girls, their classes are, like, 60 people's the whole grade.
Right.
And so I'm like, God, they're going to spend half their
Yeah.
schooling with the same 15 students. And then by the time they get there, they're going to be like, ugh.
Yeah.
I'm going to go somewhere else. Like,
Right.
I've been with these guys since kindergarten. I'm out.
No part of it. Yeah. Or they'll fall in love with one of them.
Exactly.
You never know.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a couple. They seem cool. Their parents are cool.
They seem cool.
I mean, they're in first grade. It's what it is right now.
They seem cool.
Kindergarten, I don't know. I mean, my pre-K, we got some maturing to do before I can make that decision. We'll talk in first grade.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
But, like, their parents are... They communicate with me on a level that I can communicate with. Like, you know, like, a lot of private school parents... You're like, oh my God, I do not want to have to deal with them. But there's several of them I can have a conversation with, and they're actually real people.
Yeah.
They're not like living in their little hut in the middle of the woods with their bears. They're, you know, real people that have lived a life. They didn't grow up in private schools. Because I feel like our generation too, a lot of people are going to private schools because of the public schools that are here.
For sure.
So like, I'm seeing a lot of public school parents that are... I mean, they're still the stereotypical private school moms.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm not saying they're not.
Yeah.
But they're still, like, real...
Yeah.
Like, one mom, she's tatted from her... whatever this is.
Yeah. Right.
Below your jawline, all the way down. And, I mean, to the top of her toes.
Yeah.
And, like, first time I saw her, I was like, oh... Okay, let's do this. Like,
exactly.
There's a dad in there with gauges, and I'm like, okay, this is not your stereotypical.
Yes. And there are people just living their lives.
Yeah.
Normal people, not uptight. You know what you
driving your Audi, straightening your tie.
Exactly.
Just,
what your stereotypical, like you said, parent is there. Which is nice. But those people are at public school too, trust me.
Yeah, but that's what it's refreshing. I don't feel like I'm necessarily at a private school when I walk into the parent meeting.
Yes.
But sometimes I walk in and I'm like, oh, she's here. But then I'm like, oh, but she's here.
That's how I feel though anytime I go into Carter's school because I am like the youngest mom. So I always feel out of place. And it's Nixa. So like... all of them are a little bit older. Not older, but, like, obviously older than me.
Right.
And they're dressed, like, nice. And here I am in my crop top and my sweats and my neck tattoos. And I feel so out of place. And, like, people look at me like I don't know what I'm doing. You know?
But to make you feel better, I feel like that same thing there, too.
Do you really?
I do. And this was before, like, I've gone to a couple of events, like, a couple of things I volunteer, and I never feel like I fit in there.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of them are moms that are just super involved.
Yes.
Because they can be. And I can't be.
Right.
And so it's one of those things where you're just kind of the outcast.
Plus the district that your boys are in.
Exactly.
I grew up going to school in that district. Yeah. And I feel like it is a town that thinks they're still a small town, but they also think they're uptown.
Yes.
And it's like this town that doesn't really like... Because, I mean, you guys know, you live here. Exactly. It's a very expensive comparatively to other districts town to live in.
Yeah. Yep.
So I feel like that's why I've always wanted my girls to understand that, like, we might not have XYZ like your friends do.
Right.
But that doesn't make you any less than your friends.
Right.
That doesn't make you any... Because in our private school is not as expensive as some of the other private schools. Mm-hmm. It is not as expensive as the other private schools, but we also don't go to school full time, stuff like that. But I'm like, hey, like, I'm in line with the mom that has the, what is it, the Rivian, you know, those electric SUVs?
Oh, I don't know what they're called, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The brand new Denali's, the brand new Escalades. We're in line with those. We're also in line with the parents that drive, you know, like a... I don't want to call anyone out in case they listen, but, you know, they drive whatever.
Just normal cars, like me and my little beat-up SUV.
I mean, I had one...
Ford Escape.
Yeah. I had one mom tell me she was so stoked to get her $5,000 car and she was paying cash for it. I was like...
Hell yeah!
You are not... You are my people.
Exactly.
Come be my people with me because I'm not... I mean, yes, I could afford to go buy one of those brand new SUVs. Do I want to be able to afford one of those brand new SUVs? No. I would like to be able to eat dinner tonight.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's like... I'm not trying to meet this because, and you guys know, we just sold our Expedition.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a platinum, top of the line.
Yeah.
Every bell and whistle.
Yeah.
And I had the opportunity to buy a Wrangler, and I was like, sold, buy Expedition.
Yeah.
I don't care what you are. I don't care who you
Yeah.
This is just a status symbol that I don't care about.
Exactly.
That Wrangler? Yes, I want that thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care about that. And so...
You Jeep people are built different. That's all I'm going to say.
Hear that. Do you have ducks in there?
I have one because my realtor's who I bought my Jeep from.
Okay.
Because I had a 2-door Jeep a couple of years ago, and I sold it so Taylor could get his dream truck.
Aww.
And so, but I had my Suburban, so it was like the third vehicle we had. So I was like, okay, the Jeep can go. And so then my realtor kept saying like, hey, you want to sell your Jeep yet? You want to sell your Jeep yet? And he's like, no.
Quit asking me.
So finally one day Taylor texts me, he's like, hey, he's selling the Jeep. I'm like, yes! And he's like, but we're not driving both. And I was like, bye, Expedition. See ya, problem solved. So I told him I had never been Jeeped in my old Jeep. I had never been ducked. And in this one, and they went to, I don't know how to say it, some place in the Caribbean, and it's a sandals resort. And so he brought me back a duck with a snorkel and flippers, and it says sandals across it. So he ducked me.
Oh,
That's the only duck I have.
I love it.
So are you like into the whole ducking?
No, I still don't understand it.
Not to call like anybody out specifically or anything like that, just in general, I cannot stand seeing the whole fucking 50 ducks. And I know it's not my car. It's not my problem.
Don't tell Lady Darkness.
But it's just like, why are there so many ducks on your fucking console?
But there's somebody that I go to church with that drives a Nissan, one of those little hatchback sedan things, I don't know, full of stuffed cats on the dash and the back window.
See, that would drive me
like
crazy
stuffies.
too. Yeah. That's just...
But again, I'm like, because my girls will be like, what's wrong with it? I'm like, it's what they choose to do.
Right.
They choose to have
Yeah.
cats.
It's not my problem, not my car, not my
I don't know how when you're driving like I do, those things are
right.
like,
That's what I always wonder.
But
they
the
use
stuffies,
things to stick it.
like stuffies?
Now that I don't know.
Right.
I know the
Maybe they're like
ducks,
stuffed in. Like
Probably,
I bet they use the same thing. They just use that like the stuff that sticks them down. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or there's Velcro things you can get.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, Taylor went to high school with a guy that had an old Ford truck that he literally had indoor-outdoor grass on his dash and little farm on the dash.
Okay, now I would love to see
That's
that.
adorable.
I will have to.
Yeah.
I don't know if I could ever find a photo of it because I don't talk to that person.
Can we do this? Can we make the?
He
can
has.
we make
It
the
was like
Equinox?
it was like in between the driver and the passenger's thing, like this big, and it had like a little barn, like at Walmart, little barn, little cow, little horse, little hay bales, little tractor.
Oh, we need to get you little figures of the dogs.
Yes, and possums.
Hershey. Yeah. Oh my God, yes. A Pop-Tart.
Yeah, possums.
You could have a fairy garden on your thing. Just saying. But see, that's what also, I mean, I'd have to tell the girls, I mean, you're just going to have to include Miss Michaela.
Well, here's the thing. Your girls know Miss Michaela. They're going to get me a Highland cow to go in there, so
They
don't
would.
worry about it.
Every time we go to Hobby
And a
Lobby
Stitch.
and Bradley sees the Highland Dairy
Highland
cow,
cow.
she's like, Miss Michaela would like that. I'm like, yes, she would. That's $60. I don't think Miss Michaela needs a $60 picture. Sorry, I love you. Not that
Miss Michaela's worth it. Miss Michaela's
That's when
worth
it's
it.
on the half off. I'm like, $120 picture.
There's one in there.
I know, because I
That
still
is-
haven't made you this shirt yet.
Oh, I love it so much.
Shout out Bradley and Logan.
Yes.
One bougie heifer. Love that. She's holding a Stanley Cup.
Yes, she is.
With a waist bag on her.
Lululemon guy.
With a fanny pack!
Mm-hmm.
What'd you call it?
A fanny pack.
Oh.
That's what they are, but that's not. They're like
A waist
sleek
bag.
side sling or something fancy. I know they had to change it.
Fanny pack just
They
sounds
don't make.
90s.
Here's the thing. They don't make fanny bags.
We're not
big
being
enough
that
for my waist
inclusive.
anymore.
I'm a 90s baby. I was born in 97.
Oh my gosh, Jace sent me this thing the other day that was like birthday parties in the 90s, and I was like, oh, child.
McDonald's.
Yeah, I did have McDonald's birthday party.
So did I.
Yeah, but it was like you would call the radio station on your birthday, and I was like, I didn't call them, but we had to have this whole conversation about how you call the radio station because you wanted your song played. And I was like, I would always listen to the top 30 because I was like, you couldn't just go online and get it. I said you had to tape the top 30 so you had your song that you wanted to listen to. So you didn't even have like CD burgers.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was like, then we downloaded music legally on Napster and put it on CDs.
Yes.
Yeah, that was how we did it back in the day. But it was just funny because I'm like, oh, buddy. I have no idea.
The difference.
Yeah.
The amount of illegal activity I did as a kid. Jace.
I know, right?
We are
I was a real cyber criminal.
I
I was also in the
That's about all she did.
I was here. Here's the thing, though. That I will
downloading.
say, I was in the AOL chat rooms, and it is probably amazing.
Oh, dirty
Yes.
girl.
That I was living a high life. I never used my real name or
Did
anything.
you ever do like 12WMO?
Yes. Yeah.
doesn't even
Except
know what
I
I'm
wouldn't
talking
say
about.
what state I was in. I would always change the
Do you
state.
know what I'm talking about?
12WMO.
That was.
You
I
would
was 12
put your
years old.
age, your gender, and your
Yeah.
state, your
Yeah.
location, so you could find
Yeah.
friends.
But the amount of dirty
Oh my
old
God,
men
that
that I
sounds
was
scary.
probably talking to,
Oh, for
a
sure.
lot of them were truckers. I remember.
Or the number of times I was like 18WMO.
Yes.
And I was
I never,
really like 13.
I never said what state I was in, but I always told them I drove like the fancy car that I wanted to drive. I mean, I just laid it
Do you
on
think
thick. When
Tell
I,
people your location?
Well, like,
No,
that's a very broad spectrum.
but like I said, I would
Back
never
then
tell
they
them where I was at. You couldn't like search people back then.
Back
Like, they
then-
weren't gonna find
Right.
They weren't like, like
No.
finding your IP address
you.
back then.
But yeah, oh yeah, I'm sure the amount of dirty.
So
old
no,
men
I will
was
not
talking
let
to.
my girls be on AOL chats.
I don't think that's even a thing anymore.
No, it's not. But
Probably
that's
like
okay.
Kicks. Kicks probably out.
I don't even know what that is.
We can call
Okay.
my 12-year-old niece. She would know.
Yeah, she's in trouble for that one too.
Anyway.
But because like my neighbor one day messaged me, but it was her daughter on that kids messenger thing or whatever, and I was
Yeah.
like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
I'm not ready for this.
Yeah.
Then the other day my daughter had a dance competition. Her best friend had a aerial performance. So they were trying to, like, they were asking me questions. I was being asked questions, and I was like, I'm done being asked questions.
Yeah.
So I filmed her saying it, send it
Yeah.
to the mom. The mom would film her
That is
responding.
hilarious.
And would send me back video clips.
That is adorable.
And we text back and forth video clips for like 2 days.
Oh my god.
That's so cute.
I'm not doing Messenger where then she can think she can sit there and chat all day long.
That's true. Fair.
She's gonna send video.
Yeah. You'll get the response when you get the response.
I was reading an article the other day, I don't know if it's true or not, about who is the guy from Friends that died?
Chandler.
Yes, him.
Matthew Perry.
Yes. That when he was dating Julia Roberts, how they would sit by their fax machines waiting for the next fax. I don't know if it's true or not.
I'm sure it probably was.
But I was envisioning him, like back then,
Yes.
like my parents sitting by a fax machine waiting to fax each other their next text message.
Oh, that's hilarious.
No. But I want my girls to also communicate with their friends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I don't want them to like Taylor and I have tried to become more conscious. I mean, sometimes around my period, I just sit in my phone and like become a zombie. But
Yeah.
like about putting our phones away, being involved with them.
Yeah, being present.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not having them see
Yeah.
it because sometimes they'll pull out their play phones and they'll be
Yeah.
like, "Oh, I'm just watching TikToks." I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
"But you're not."
Right.
So, but is
Right.
that what you think your dad and I do all day? Is just sit and watch TikToks?
Probably.
Yes, we're not working or trying to keep a roof over your
Right,
head or
right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
We're just watching TikToks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I do.
Or he'll be in the bathroom and they'll hear it and they're like, "Ah, Daddy's watching TikToks." I'm like, he's gonna be in there all day.
Yep.
But I don't want my girls to grow up like feeling like that's the
Right.
new thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
And I'm really hoping that
I want them to sit and wait for dial-up to connect.
I really hope that our society starts getting away from that because I think that's where a lot of issues have come from.
For sure.
Is that social
Or
media
the
and
lack
stuff.
of open conversations.
Yes.
Like you're
Yes.
not like you have an open conversation
Right.
with him about
Yes.
these things are gonna pop up.
Right.
You're gonna see these things.
Yeah.
My girls, they have no idea what was going on, but my daughter's teacher sent a was it a math problem? Like a YouTube video. Watch this YouTube video. And it's a guy that has covered Little Nas X's Old Town,
Old Town Road.
Okay. Yeah.
which is fine. But I asked our teacher, I was like, "Do you know who this is from?" And she's like, "No." And I was like, "You don't know who they're covering the song of?" And she's like, "No, why?" I was like, "I want to research who they're covering before they do that." And she's like, "Why?" I was like, "Do you know anything about Little Nas X?" And
Yeah.
she's like, "No." And I was like, "It would not fly in a faith-based school."
Right.
Right. Exactly.
And she
For
did.
sure.
She got in trouble. A
Oh,
couple
no!
days later, they told her not to use it again.
Oh, my
because
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, I didn't say anything because for me, I was laughing,
Exactly.
thinking
Right.
this guy's doing. I think it was a math cover.
oh, that's
I
funny.
can't remember
Yeah.
to that song, and I just as soon as it started playing, I was like, "We're doing
but
this
in
today."
that school,
It wouldn't.
Right.
It's not appropriate.
Yeah. Right.
It would not be appropriate
For
if
sure.
they knew who that was.
For sure.
But she had no idea.
She had no idea.
No, of course not.
And then she said she got an email a couple days later and I was like, I didn't turn you in. It was not me.
Yes.
So it must have been another mom in a class that said something.
Gosh.
But I was like, just for next time, you might want to because she's a first year teacher there. She came from public schools.
Oh, yeah.
Last year teacher. She's going back to public schools.
Oh, she is?
Yes. She's going
She says, no, thank you.
Yeah.
She says her reasons, and I'm like, I think I know the real reason, but I'm going to let you tell me what you think.
Exactly.
Because it's a lot. But that's one fear I always had about sending our girls to private schools is they're not going to be exposed to some of the things that your boys will be. They will probably to some degree.
Right. Yeah.
But I'm like, I want to shelter them, but I don't want to shelter. It's a double-edged sword.
You don't want to shelter them too much.
I don't want them to grow up under a rock.
Right. Yes. Right.
But I also don't want them to be like in second grade talking about some of the things I've heard second graders talking about.
Right. But you have them in you have them in stuff.
And also the way you are anyway.
Yes.
As a mom.
Yeah.
I don't foresee them being like the weird sheltered kids.
No.
You know?
And that's what Taylor was terrified. The whole time they were going to be the weird kids. And I'm like, I don't think our kids are going to be the weird kids.
Yeah.
No.
They might be weird for other reasons, but not for that reason.
Exactly.
They're going to be weird because they're going to know everything or whatever.
Yeah. Yes.
But we also, last night, Bradley's like, I want to take a shower. I was like, well, your dad's showering. She's like, okay, I'm going to go ask him if I can shower. Well, she came back outside. She's like, he said I can't. And I was like, oh. Because Taylor and I have been talking about, drawing the line.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And I was like, okay, I guess we're drawing the line tonight. Okay, this is it. So he came outside. And I was like, did you say she couldn't shower with you? And he's like, yeah, why? I was like, is it because of what we've been talking about? And he's like, no, I just thought it was too late for her to take a shower because it's a whole process when she showers. She's in there for 45 minutes playing, doing her thing.
Yeah.
And kind of like Jace, but she's not in the bathtub. She's playing in the shower.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, well, since I've already opened the door, let's have this talk. Yes. So we talked to the girls about how, daddy's a boy, they are girls. It's now to the point where nobody needs to be showering with them but mommy.
Yeah. Right.
No Grammy, me,
no
Papa, no Daddy, nobody.
Yes.
Except for mommy.
Exactly.
Or you two together.
Yes.
That's it. And so, because Bradley had some stuff happen to her this past weekend that opened up other conversations that we've had to have that I was not ready for, but we had to have them. And so, I'm like, okay, we're doing this one today too. Let's do this. Let's have this conversation. Yep. And so, but Taylor always likes to take the back seat because he's like, oh, this is awkward. This is weird. Because he grew up where they didn't talk about anything.
Right.
And see, I also think it's good to show them that mommy and daddy, everyone can have boundaries too. Mm-hmm. For sure. Boundaries are okay. Yep. And so that I think is a good lesson too. Even if it isn't, there's a boundary between who you need to be doing this with, and you're allowed to set that boundary.
Yep. Yes.
And you are allowed to say that, as well as daddy's allowed to say that he's drawing that back. You know what I mean? Boundaries are a very safe thing and something that, helps people.
Well, I was better. Well, then I'm ready to draw a boundary. I'd like to shower by myself.
No, but I'm sorry.
You're a mom. That ain't happening.
Then there were times my mom's told me, did you not think about this when you became a mom? I'm like, I'm going to punch you in the throat.
Right.
Literally.
Tina, get over here.
But see, that's the thing is with Jace, I mean, I've been a single mom. He slept in my room until Kyle came along. He's obviously seen me naked. Yeah. Often. Right. And it's really just one of those things that I feel like, not that I walk around the house naked, but But
he was in your room, so if you were changing in the morning and he was still sleeping, you woke up,
my door has always been open. So if I'm showering, if he has questions, he comes in there. But I think that also, not that it's a healthy thing, but it's it's not a sexual thing.
I was about to say.
And that's the thing is, it's
good for him to not
he's just
sexualize his
exactly.
mother.
It's just she's changing. It's not like she walks around the house.
This is her body.
If that's what the mom wants to do, that's her own business.
Right.
I prefer clothes. I'm floppy and jiggly. I just want clothes on. But it's just one of those things that. And there's a time when, now, because I never know when his friends are coming over. Mm-hmm. So I shut the door now. Mm-hmm. Just because his friends just wander into the room with him sometimes. Yeah. And so I'm like, I'm not scarring other children. Jace Ray's used to this. Yeah. But, so it's just that point where there has to be boundaries at some point. Yeah. And so it's but you're 10. Well,
that's what, because Bradley and Logan, they'll see daddy change.
Yes, right.
Mm-hmm. And that's okay, but I'm we're going to draw this line that you don't need to be... Yes. Bathing, which in turn means, shampooing yourself, bathing yourself, soaping yourself. there's a line now that you, and when I'm in the shower with him, I'm like, you get a washcloth or you get your hand and you get soap and you clean yourself.
Exactly.
I will do your hair, but I'm not going to clean your bodies.
Right.
You guys are old enough now to clean your own bodies.
Yep.
And they understand that, okay, now we have reached this point. Yep. Mommy's not going to do it, and it's not out of laziness. It's out of A, maturity and responsibility, and B, that I'm no longer going to touch you.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like, when Bradley was little, there was someone that would take care of her a lot that would use their finger to put on her diaper cream.
Okay.
And I'm like, stop.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I don't even do that for my own child.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, what's the problem? I'm like, it's your finger on my child's vagina.
Right.
There is a problem
That's
here.
the problem. Yep.
Like, put it on a Kleenex. I put it on the diaper and just smear it, and then the diaper sits there.
Right.
Or whatever. And finally, I said, you are trapping bacteria in there with that cream. Yeah. And she's like, oh, I am? I'm like, no. But if that gets you to stop, then yes.
Well, see, I didn't have...
And I couldn't tell this person in my life is someone that will never leave my life. So I couldn't, like, say you're never seeing my child.
Yes.
You know, things like that. Yeah. But I was like, I have to draw this line that quit doing that to my daughter.
And good for you.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not appropriate.
And see, I never thought about that because my, upstairs doesn't have one of those.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit easier with boys as far as that. The only thing that, is you have to, whenever you get them circumcised, you have to make sure that skin doesn't. Yeah. So you have to mess with them a little bit. But nobody else did it but me.
Yeah.
Right, exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It was just one of those things. But I get it. Yeah, if you have a boundary, if something bothers you in that regard, you're allowed to say that.
Exactly.
That is
and that's what
right.
happened to Bradley this past weekend is, I'm not going to say it currently speaking. I can talk on this in a couple months.
Right.
But there was someone touching her in a manner that was not appropriate.
Right.
And it wasn't like a sexual touch.
Right.
Because they were just tickling her.
Exactly.
But Bradley told him to stop more than once.
Oh, yep.
And the child didn't stop.
Yep.
And Bradley shut down.
Yeah.
And this was a very big weekend for her. And she shut down. And it screwed our whole weekend that she shut down.
Right.
And so I talked to somebody of authority.
Yes.
And they played it off. And I'm like, no, we're not playing this off.
Nope.
This is not okay. This is not funny. This is not...
She's trying to set a boundary, and you're not protecting that.
Why are you not there before it even had to be said? Where were you when this was happening? Yeah. Where was your staff when this was happening? Where were you? So I'm like, Bradley, like Taylor and I set her down and we said, next time if it happens again, you have every inch of support from us that you can hit them, you can kick them, you can physically push them, whatever it takes to get them off
as loud as you need to.
Even if it's just something as innocent as tickling.
No.
You can shut it down.
Yes.
Right away. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, just like on the playground, I told you this. Let them throw the first punch and then you can do whatever you want. Same concept. Whatever, if you've told them no.
Exactly. Because your no should be all it takes.
All it takes.
All bets are off. You can do whatever you want. And I am not going to be mad at you. Don't kill them, but you can do whatever it takes to get away.
If you have said no, if you have set that boundary, that person needs to understand that boundary is set. And, you don't get to move my boundary. You may not like my boundary.
Exactly.
And that's fine. But you don't get to move it just because it doesn't fit with what you want.
You're right.
Or what you're doing.
Yes, and that's what I wanted her to understand and to be communicated is that... And I told Logan, I don't think Logan's ever going to have a problem telling somebody.
No.
But I'm like, girls, and Logan's like, I can hit someone. I'm like, well, honey.
Because Logan is her mother.
You can...
Yeah.
Yes, you can hit someone. Let them hit you first. But there's... This day and age, I think it's too many people have too many other things, so they feel like, oh, I can use this against this child, or I can use this against someone because I heard it worked over here, so why would it not work over here? Or I'm going to put the fear of God in you if you don't abide. And
that's why we choose the bear. I'm just saying.
Back to the bear.
Saying. But having open, honest conversations with them, I feel like gives them more of a platform to then be open and honest with you about that.
Because when it happened to Bradley, I came out and I was like, what's going on? Because of the way her mannerisms were.
You could tell.
I could tell something had happened. I was like, what's happened? And she looked at me and said, I don't want to talk to you right now. And I'm like, excuse? First off, you're not allowed to talk to me like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Second off, now that you've stated it like that, we're going to
talk.
Now
I'm worried.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk. And it took me... that probably 4 hours to get her to communicate to me what happened.
Oh, sweet girl.
After she broke down in tears. And I was like, honey, like, if you would have told me this 4 hours ago, I could have handled this.
Yes, I could have fixed this.
But now we're here 4 hours later, and I can't handle it.
Exactly.
And so then I had to have a meeting with someone above and talk to them about it, and it essentially was a joke of a meeting, but it's like, Bradley, if you would have just told me, and I've told you your whole life, you can just tell me.
Yeah.
But it's still, even saying that, like, it still can be hard, especially because there's shame and guilt that comes with that. I don't care how old you are.
Right.
I feel like there's shame and guilt that goes along with it.
Yep.
Just internally. Like,
and
not taught, not...
Like, how do you not
I don't know.
get that in your children? Like, how do you not...
Because here's the thing. Some of us are kind of like that TikTok you sent me. Some of us are just born... Like, we don't have that fire. Like... Yeah. And it's hard. It's hard
to set boundaries.
I didn't set boundaries for a long time, and it is still hard for me to tell someone when they've crossed my boundaries at times. And I do have a tendency to shut down if something overwhelms me. How many times
have I snapped at her? And she's like, "Okay, fine," and I'm like, "Dude, I'm just kidding. Stop."
That's what I'm saying.
Like, you need to fix yourself, girl.
Maybe I need to hang out with the unmentionable because our tones don't come out across the right way.
Oh god.
Maybe you should put a laughing emoji next time.
But not necessarily that, but just in things, I'll shut down when I get overwhelmed because I still don't necessarily know how to enforce certain boundaries. And not with friends, but more like with, parents and
employers.
Yes, things like
they
that.
Are literally your lifeline.
Exactly. Yeah. And so that, I just think that there's certain people like Logan who's never going to have problems with boundaries probably. And she probably
doesn't.
And if somebody were to do that, hopefully she wouldn't feel shame or guilt. She would place it on the person that it belongs on.
Exactly.
But some of us just hold internal guilt for so many things. Like, there was a meme the other day that was like, I've just been guilty about everything since I was 8. And that I feel that. Yep. And that's what I just mean is I think some of us are just built differently internally. And I hate that for her because that is not anything that she should be holding. Yeah. But sometimes you do. And so, but... and that's why I pick the bear. Yeah. I hate people.
Carter has a thing, he'll even tell me sometimes, like, if I'm trying to, like, cuddle or, like, hug him, and he doesn't want to be cuddled or hugged, he says, respect my body boundaries. And I'm like,
there you go.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Where did he get that?
I taught him. I just tell him, if you don't want somebody to touch you, or if somebody doesn't want you to touch them, you have to respect their body boundaries. Or they have to respect yours. Yes. And if they're not respecting yours, you full on, you do whatever you need to do. Like you said, fucking punch them, kick them. I don't care what you do, but they're going to respect your body.
Yeah.
How old was he the first time he said that to you?
Probably 5.
Did you not just want to, like, grab him and be like, oh my god, you're so cute?
I was so proud of him. I was so proud. And he'll even say it to his grandpa, like, because his papa loves to just, like, pinch him or, like, just mess with him. And he'll say, Papa, 5 feet away.
Oh, that's hilarious.
And
good for him.
And what's Papa say?
I mean, sometimes his feelings will get hurt, and I'll tell him, that's just who he is. If he doesn't want to be touched, don't touch him. There's sometimes he doesn't mind it. But I think he has a touch of autism. And so, he gets overstimulated very quickly or doesn't want to be touched sometimes.
Yeah. And that's okay.
Right. And so I tell him, that's okay to feel that way. And if you don't want to be touched, you're not going to... And especially, don't let anybody touch your private square. Yes. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And he'll say, these are my private areas. Yeah. I don't want... If he's taking a shower, now he'll close the door. Yes. Mom, I need my privacy. Yes. Go ahead. Yep. Exactly. Have your privacy.
Jay started that
Mom,
too.
Don't look at my privates. Yep. Well, I wouldn't anyway. But, right.
My girls do that. And I'm like, when you start giving me privacy, I'll give you privacy.
Right. Well, yours are a different age bracket than ours.
Then hers... Her son and my daughter are the same age.
Yeah, Carter's 7.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
6. Yeah. But I'm like, honey.
That's hilarious.
When you guys give me privacy, I'll give you privacy.
I stepped out of the shower yesterday, and thank God I had my towel on. Carter, I turn around, he goes, hey. He's just sitting on the toilet pooping. I was like, you could have at least told, like, I heard nothing. He was like, hold on, give me 1 second, I'll give you some privacy. I was like, I'll just go to my room. God.
Privacy.
It stinks in here.
And that's what I think this generation is also... It's hard for us because we come from a generation of you did whatever everybody tells you. You sat on Papa's lap.
Yep.
You hugged.
You gave everyone a hug.
Exactly.
Right.
you always, what... I mean, I made my girls say please and thank. Like,
right.
thank you when they
different.
compliment you or something like that. But if someone wants you to sit on their lap, no, you don't have to.
Well, and I always tell Jace, hugs or high fives.
Yep.
If someone's leaving, do you want to give them a hug or a high five?
Yeah.
I like the alternative.
Right,
yeah,
exactly.
I didn't even think about that.
Then I heard it somewhere, and so that's what I've always done. Because I'm like, you don't have to hug anybody you don't want to.
Exactly.
Like that way, they're giving them a goodbye. They're giving them
some kind of acknowledgement.
Exactly. And luckily, my parents, my mom and them, they are not, you have to hug me, that kind of people.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things, because I do it with other people's kids. I'm like, if their parents say something, I'm like, you can give me a hug or a high five. Like, you do what you want to do. I'm not forcing anything on you. And so that's my thing with him, is hug or high five.
Yep.
Pick, And if you don't want to do anything, that's fine too.
That's fine.
But at least, generally, a high five is not anything that a kid can't handle.
Exactly.
It
won't make them uncomfortable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So and that's what my girls, because they're in a situation where they're with older girls up to 18, 19 years old.
Wow.
Backstage. Yeah. And so it's like, hey, like, I want you girls to understand, and I'm not saying these girls are doing things.
Right.
But this day and age, you don't know. Like back when we were younger, it would have just been the boys.
Yeah. Exactly.
Doing something. But now it's like the girls can also, now that it's becoming more awareness.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But like one time I walked backstage and Logan was sitting on one of the girls who's like 9 or 10's lap. Sitting on her lap, and the girl was holding her like, she was just, so she wouldn't
gotcha.
Had her hands between her legs so Logan wouldn't slide off or whatever.
Exactly.
I was like, Logan, get up right now.
Yeah.
And they both looked at me. I said, do not hold my child again.
Yep.
And I walked over with Bradley and Logan and I said, you are to never. You are done sitting. You're done sitting on your grandparents' laps.
Yep.
You're done sitting on anybody's laps but mommy or daddy.
Yep.
You're done.
Yeah.
So we walked out in the audience, and one of the dance moms was sitting in front of Logan, and she's like, "Oh, you can't see, honey. Do you want to sit on my lap?" And Logan's like, "Nope,
no, never."
It just looked. It was like that, and she's like, "But you can't. Nope."
I don't care if I can't see. I don't want to see it.
But that's what I'm like.
Right.
And I told this person of authority last week, and I told her, I was like, "This is what's happening."
Yeah.
And I think that lines need to be drawn because we're not living in the 60s anymore.
Yeah,
we're not living in the 70s anymore. We're not even living in the early 90s anymore.
Yep.
Like, please.
Shit's different now.
Like I said, the bear. That's the whole fucking point, Ashley. The bear.
It's so full circle.
So what you're saying is I need to bring a bear with me next time.
Yes!
Bring the bear.
Here's my pet bear.
Because Logan would be holding its hand.
She would be.
And, just put a little tutu on it. It's fine.
Exactly.
We'll just be
the bear.
Bringing our bear with us.
Theo.
Theo. I was gonna say.
No. Brady Joe. Nobody's going to go, nobody will mess with your child, Brady Joe.
No, that's Theo. Brady's the little black one.
Even I would be like, all right, girls, you sit on that side of the room. I'm sitting over here. If you need anything, you holler.
Brady's the one that...
She's the one that bites my calves.
Yeah.
Even after I give her
You can't turn your back on her.
No, you can't. Theo's actually a big sweetheart. Now, I mean, he probably wouldn't be if somebody was messy. Right. You know what I mean? But as far as like...
I think he would be fine on a leash. I would need to bring a fence.
Yeah. Right.
I'm going to put a fence between my girls and that person, and then he'll be crazy.
Exactly.
Let me get my pickets out real quick. Okay, go.
Yeah.
No, you're good.
You can take Ernie. Ernie barks. Ernie, he looks cute, but He was
totally fine the other day when I was over there.
I know, he'll just bark. Is what I'm saying.
Like, he's a little baby.
Oh, he is just a little baby. He's like a bird. You put a blanket over him and he just curls up and goes to sleep.
I was telling her, my mom brought her German Shepherd over. This dog is the sweetest dog
She
ever.
has not set Kingston's boundaries, is what she's going to tell you.
Yeah, I clearly haven't. My mom was like, is it okay if I bring him in? I was like, absolutely. Kingston will love that. Because Kingston loves playing with Tunchi. I have come to the conclusion that Kingston believes he is the size of Tunchi. That's why he doesn't have a problem.
Why don't you
with
tell us how
cats.
big Kingston is?
So Kingston is a 100-pound Doberman.
Mm-hmm.
He's 4 years old. And my mom's dog, German Shepherd, I think he's just like a little bit smaller than Kingston. But he's older. Mm-hmm. Like he's probably like 8 or 9 years old. So he's getting up there. And so Big walks in and Kingston...
His name is Big?
Big, yeah. Kingston jumps on all fours. Like jumps off of all fours. He pees. And he literally screamed. Like, I'm not talking like a howl or like something you would hear from a dog. It was like a literal woman screaming.
Oh, no.
And my mom was almost in tears. Like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, let me I was like, no, he's got to be better than this. Like,
he was
this
terrified.
He set his boundaries, and Bree's like, no, get out of here.
Well, he's supposed to be my security dog.
I was expecting.
Dude, I could have told you he wasn't your security dog when Michaela and I met him, and he was around back of the house.
I know. I should have known then. I'm like, we're sending him back. Like, it's been 4 years, but return.
I mean,
I thought you were going to say he attacked him because Nelson can't handle dogs.
Bigger.
Male dogs bigger than him.
Can you do females?
Yeah, he doesn't have a problem with females. It's male dogs that are bigger than him. Or around his size. And he'll play with them, which means that he will roll them. Like, he is mean as a snake.
Yeah.
So I just connect, you know what I mean? So I was expecting that. I wasn't expecting him to be like Pop-Tart and pee and roll over on her belly anytime she encounters anybody.
I mean, when Kingston looks around the corner, you would be scared.
Oh, you would be, yes.
But you both could be running the opposite
direction. Right. Well, and, like, I have neighbors behind me, and he'll bark and growl at them all the time. But he's...
What if they tried to talk to him?
Does he have a touch of the tism too?
Yes. We're all...
The whole house has
got a touch of the tism, okay? Especially my cross-eyed cat.
Oh, you're my cross-eyed cat! And on that note, Bree not respecting King's boundaries.
Poor dog.
We're going to wrap up episode number 13.
Oh,
so
that was a good one. I liked it. That was therapeutic.
Thanks for
Boundaries.
See, we just saved you money.
You did.
Yeah, no more therapy.
I mean, I still have to go. Sorry. I just
Don't do it. Don't. Who needs therapy?
It's a waste of time and money.
It's been pretty beneficial, I'm just going to tell you.
We can talk about that on another episode.
Exactly. Kayla's issues.
I was just going to put therapy question mark.
Not for me.
Not for me.
So thanks for joining us on
Moms
with nothing
to talk about.
Woo! Always pick the bear.
We didn't leave a cliffhanger this time.
The cliffhanger will be
COVID.
How much therapy will it take for Kayla to be normal?
COVID.
Yeah, next time is COVID. Which is where therapy started for me. So there we go.
Deal. See you next time.
Bye guys.
Bye.